can't be permitted to continue. In the Kaczmarek case, in the case that he passed on, the drug at issue, the drug at issue had been approved by the FDA 20 years ago. 20 years ago. It had been reviewed by scientists. It had been peer reviewed. It had been used. And when he shut it down, the drug companies got very alarmed, because they thought, what other drugs does this guy not like? Or does this some other captive federal judge or the right wing not like? And what? We can't even depend. I mean, their stock prices would have fallen in the basement. The Fifth Circuit overturned Kaczmarek, not because they're not right wing, but because they thought, we can't just disrupt the whole pharmaceutical industry, but they kept alive a ruling that he'd made having to do with a more recent certification by the FDA. When it went to the Supreme Court for a temporary stay, Justice Alito was the one who said he will stay it till Wednesday. Today's Monday. That's 2 days. Kaczmarek is the go-to guy for right-wing plaintiffs who want to alter our culture, in fact, set our culture in a direction that a lot of the electorate doesn't want. Why did Alito do it? Alito is the one, and in the previous hour we talked about this, I believe is the one that leaked the Dobbs opinion. Remember the Dobbs opinion? The Dobbs opinion theoretically was only about a 15-week abortion prohibition beyond 15 weeks by Mississippi. And the people on the Supreme Court decided we're going to use this to overturn Roe v. Wade. And Alito was one of them. But you may not remember that it was a 6-3 decision to uphold the Mississippi statute, but it was only a 5-4 decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. And that's because Justice Roberts sided with the 3 Democrats, and he tried to get Kavanaugh to go along with him. And Kavanaugh, believe it or not, everybody's opposed to Kavanaugh. He was the one that looked as if possibly he might go along with Roberts. And then the Dobbs opinion was leaked, and it locked him in. That's what happened. I think Alito is getting alarmed. I think he's chickening out. He's the one that they let issue the opinion staying at least till Wednesday. Because at some point, if the U.S. Supreme Court is seen widely as illegitimate, in the last hour we talked some about how in the Moore v. Harper case, they are about to decide, unless they punt this time, but they may not in the future, that you don't have a right to vote for president. That's because the Constitution says that the state legislatures will pick the presidential electors. So if they rule that way, you're not going to have to think anymore about fake electors because they won't be fake anymore. Voss will pick the electors, and LeMahieu will pick the electors. And the purpose of it is to target it for 6 swing states. Nobody's going to worry about the electors in New York, whether the state legislature picks them or whether a presidential election, it'll be the same thing. Same with Alabama the other way. But what about Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin? What about Nevada, Georgia? What about Arizona and a few others? If the Supreme Court goes that way, as I think they will in effect let the Republican Party pick presidents as well as state legislatures for the rest of this century. And the same thing happened with state senators, U.S. senators in the late 19th century. There's a provision in the constitutions that says they get picked by legislatures, and people got so fed up with their corruption and incompetence, the 17th Amendment was passed in 1913, and as a result, we elect our senators. But they didn't do that with president because they figured nobody would dare say that you don't have elections. All right, I'm going to keep going on this subject, but I go to the lines first. Joanne of Madison, my friend. Thanks for calling, Joanne. What's in your mind today? Joanne of Madison. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind today, Joanne?
Yes, I'd
Joanne, when you
like
get
to
put
respond on
through, I'll
some of
look
these
forward
questions
to
that.
talking with you. Please keep trying to get put through. So let's get back to Judge Kaczmarek. This is a guy who was just selected basically by falsifying his publication list to get into office as a federal judge and be the go-to guy, the absolute go-to guy for anything that was culturally important to the far right. And that's what he did. And in the particular article that he suppressed and that he didn't disclose fraudulently, he prejudged the case because he railed against abortifacients, and that was the case that was at issue before him. That was the case that was at issue before him. This clown cannot be permitted, frankly, in my view, to even stay in the federal judiciary, but certainly not decide cases that he prejudged in this law review article that he hid. Joanne, we're going to try you again. I think we're having some issue with the phones. Joanne, if you can get through, we'd like to hear what you have to say. And I'm getting a head shake from the producer. Apparently there's an issue with the phones. So we're going to go forward. I'd encourage everybody to keep calling because I'll look forward very much to getting your calls. Now I want to talk about another issue that is, frankly, I should say, I don't know if it's as important. Not voting for president is very important, but it has to do with the intel leaks. It has to do with the intel leaks. And there's some fascinating developments. This is a guy, Jack Teixeira, who hung out in this chat room, Thug Shaker Central, and to impress a bunch of, I don't know, teenagers, others that are on it with him, disclosed confidential information, highly classified information, top secret information that has embroiled us into diplomatic controversies. I mean, why an airman first class in the National Guard on Cape Cod had access to information such as that, Egypt was going to sell 40,000 drones. Egypt was going to sell 40,000 drones to Russia. That there was a fight in the Russian general staff over the war. It's unbelievable, but we're going to get into it right now. First of all, there's a fight within the Republican Party about it. Lindsey Graham came out, attacked Marjorie Taylor Greene for sticking up with this traitor, Jack Teixeira. He came out and said that anybody who sticks up for him is not fit to serve in office. And that includes Marjorie Taylor Greene. I agree with that. I don't agree with a lot of what Lindsey Graham says, but I certainly agree with that. But other people have also attacked within the Republican Party, the Tucker Carlsons, the Trumps, and the rest of them who are sticking up for this traitor. A fellow named Keith Kellogg, the retired lieutenant general, former national security advisor to Mike Pence. And he came out and he said, those on the far right who are lauding this leaker as a hero are sorely mistaken. There's nothing honorable about compromising our national security. Don Trump Jr., nevertheless stuck up for his father.
Remember the last time your family visited the forest? It's a place of wonder and imagination for the whole family, where stories come to life, and it's closer than you think. Ready to plan your next visit? Make the forest part of your story today at a local park near you, or find one at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
The Devil's Advocates.
Bill Press, thanks for sticking around, man.
The idea that idiot, Ron Johnson, the guy who says, can't call it an armed riot because they didn't have any arms. Read or listen to what Michael Fanone says about Ron Johnson and the fact that there were no arms. It was an armed armed riot. Ron Johnson, he's a phony who doesn't deliver, who lies, who certainly does not represent Wisconsin. I hope the people realize there's no Senate seat more important in this country.
For podcasts of shows, special events, and more, visit civicmedia.us.
You are never far away from your favorite local radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app, and we invite you to get social with us by following our network's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. Want even more? civicmedia.us.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Clear skies tonight with lows around 27. Northwest winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Bright sunshine again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 53. Lows level off around 35. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy. Chance for scattered storms Wednesday and Thursday. Mid-50s Wednesday, mid-60s by Thursday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 35 degrees.
When I go back on the air, am I going to go on the air? Straight up fingers, spin it sideways. All right, we'll just go with it.
And I know she told you that she loved you much more than I did. But I know that she left you.
Welcome back to Devil's Advocate. The lines are open, 844-967-2789. We're working on the phone connection issue. Looking forward to the calls. I want to get back to Intel leaks in general. I want to give a little history of what went on and what's got to be done so there are no more Jack Texeras handing out this kind of classified information, stuffing his pockets with copies of stuff he never should have access to in the first place. There's a fellow named Oleg Smolinkov. You don't remember him because his name wasn't well known. For 10 years, he was the most valuable spy in the Kremlin of ours, very close to Putin. In 2017, when Trump got into office, was sworn in, the CIA realized that Trump could inadvertently or on purpose spill the beans on Smolenkov's identity to Putin, and they sent him a coded message to fly to Montenegro with his family, and they got him out. They were afraid of Trump. A few weeks later, there was leaked info that showed that there was a spy close to Putin. Jack Texera, the airman from Cape Cod, stuffed stuff in his pockets, just walked right out. Some of it was signals intelligence. What does that mean? Signals intelligence means that this was telecommunication. This was information that could only have been harvested from our penetration of their telecommunications. What they're going to do now is they're going to change passwords. They're going to investigate. It also showed spies of ours in every level of the military, in Putin's circle, in the GRU, in the Wagner Group, in the general staff. They will know, as a result of what Texera leaked, they will know that somebody in very small groups is a traitor. In 2013, Edward Snowden was a contractor for Booz Allen. They were a contractor. He was assigned to the NSA. He walked out with pocket loads of flash drives, 1 million pages, 1 million pages, 1 million pages of documents. And we didn't know he had them until Snowden fled to Hong Kong. By the way, this stuff has been going on through George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. This is a serious problem in our government. Chelsea Manning took something like, I don't know, 3.5 mega whatever of classified documents under Obama and got 3 decades in prison or more, and he was pardoned by Obama. Obama shouldn't have pardoned him. He shouldn't have pardoned him. In 2016, another Booz Allen employee, a contractor, Hal Martin, stole 500 million documents, including from our most secret organization agency, the TAO. And what happened to him? What happened to him? His stuff was focused on China and Russia, and not much happened to him. I'll tell you, they've stolen stuff from the NSA. They put it up for auction in some cases. North Korea and Russia have downloaded some of the documents that were stolen. They've used it to attack other countries. We have moles in our own FBI and our own CIA, Chinese and Russian moles. Some of our moles in China and Russia have been exposed by traitors and they've been executed. There's a guy named Robert Hansen. From 1979 to 2001, he was a senior counterintelligence official and he spied for Russia and was paid. What he did was he disclosed scores of names of agents that we had working in Russia, and they were all executed. We had another traitor, a guy named Ma, M.A., Alexander Ma. He was a Chinese guy working for our government in the FBI's Hawaii office, Alexander Ma, and he stole top secret documents regarding our agents in China. Then he flew to Shanghai, gave them to the Chinese, came back. Nobody said anything in this country. Steal some more, go back to Shanghai, give it to a spy master. They were all executed. I've got news for you. If you are a spy for Russia, China, or anybody else, and you give the names of people who then are executed, you should be executed. These people, Chelsea Manning gets pardoned by Obama. These other clowns, they get some time in jail. Our agents in Russia and China were executed. That should be a capital offense. When you betray your country and it results in the murder of our agents, you should forfeit your life. It turns out that the military is recruiting on some of these chat rooms. The military is recruiting to try to get these Gen Xers and supervising them very lightly. A lot more to talk about this. We're going to a break. The lines are open, 844-967-2789. A lot more back after the break.
All you ever gotta do is be a good man one time to one woman, and that'll be the end of the road, man. I know you got more tears to shed, man. So come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, and cry, cry, baby. Cry, baby.
Your official home of Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, featuring Packers legend Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Saturdays and Sundays at 1 on Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX.
ABC News, I'm Rena Roy. The FBI's announced criminal charges against 2 U.S. residents and 40 officers of China's national police. They're accused of increased spying on the U.S., including through the use of a secret police station in New York's Chinatown.
The Chinese National Police appear to have been using the station to track a U.S. resident on U.S. soil.
U.S. Attorney Breon Peace. The U.S. is getting close to a default on its financial obligations, with Republicans demanding spending cuts as a requirement to raise the debt ceiling.
The White House does not want to even engage on that point. They want to raise this debt ceiling clean. And so there is no one backing out of their corner right now.
ABC's Jay O'Brien. The defamation lawsuit trial between Dominion Voting Systems and Fox News is expected to begin tomorrow. A Delaware judge today delayed it a day, but didn't say why. This is ABC News.
News brought to you by Gingras, Thompson & Watts, your personal injury attorneys dedicated to helping you get the justice you deserve. GTWLawyers.com. They're all in to win.
For Civic Media, I'm Jane McNair. Here's what you need to know. Newly elected Republican Representative Derek Van Orden says a compromise on Wisconsin's abortion ban is needed to fend off, quote, radical, unquote, Democrats. WSAU reporting Van Orden calling for carve-outs in state law for rape and incest and discussions on allowing abortions up to 15 weeks. Reproductive rights were a major issue in this month's Wisconsin Supreme Court election, with liberals flipping the court for the first time in 15 years. Justice-elect Janet Protasewicz handily defeating Dan Kelly by 11 points. More than 3,000 people attended services at the Cameron School Auditorium over the weekend, honoring officers Emily Breidenbach and Hunter Shield. Dozens of law enforcement agencies represented, showing support for those grieving the death of these officers who were killed in the line of duty in rural Wisconsin earlier this month. I'm Jane McNair. This is Civic Media News.
Hey everybody, how we doing? I'm Charlie Barons, inviting you to join me Saturdays and or Sundays at noon. It's a horse apiece, whatever you decide. We're doing the Cripes Cast, where we talk to people for and or from the Midwest, and it's more fun than a six-pack of Jolly Good. Okay, the pride of Random Lake, that Jolly Good is. Anyway, it's on your Civic Media station and the Civic Media app. And do me a favor, tell your folks I says hi. Okay, real good.
Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Since when are real estate brokers so concerned about the environment?
True, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yeah, I even walk to work.
Come on, always?
Well, sometimes I bike, and if I have an appointment across town, I use my solar panels to charge my plug-in.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Check them out at solidarityrealty.com.
Hey, this is Matt from Design Garden. Remember when the internet was new? Back then, you had to leave your house to start a business. Companies used to pay programmers bags of cash to get online. Now, small businesses can get online with a Facebook business page, or Squarespace, or Google My Business, or WordPress. But which tools should you use? Can you afford to go down the wrong path? Design Garden uses modern tools to build your website the right way. Find us online at design.garden. Again, that's design.garden.
Up North News Radio with Pat Kreitlow, your home for daily conversations about the state's latest headlines and stories. Weekday mornings from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Devil's Advocates, our lines are open, 844-967-2789. We're going to go right to the lines. Apparently they're working now. We had some technical glitches, and I think it's all come together. Joanna Madison, my friend, thanks for calling. What's your mind, Joanne?
Thanks so much for having my voice be put on here again. I'm thinking of the classification systems that we have as having a lot of responsibility for the mess we're in. We classify so much. There's more than 1 million people in the U.S. who have that type of top secret clearance and all of that. I mean, there's not a lot of sense to it in an age where we have ChatGPT and all this AI and all these ways of communicating. We're printing things out as paper documents and having them at Mar-a-Lago and all of that. Do you see any possibility that we would have a thoroughgoing review of how we classify information and the reasons for classification and why indeed we're in the mess we are along those lines? I mean, are people allowing, the kicking of the can down the road in effect and allowing this permeable system to continue for a particular reason? I don't see the reason, but it's only hurting the United States. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joanne. I think that's a very important comment. And let me just respond before we go back to the lines. First of all, there's several million people who have clearances that they really shouldn't have, and they can get confidential information like this. Secondly, when some guys, and I've talked about some of the various spies and what they've done, can walk out the door with pockets full of drives and pockets full of documents and what nobody's heard of, even a metal detector. I mean, nobody searches them at the door, especially a first-class airman from Cape Cod walking out with this stuff. Third, just because you hire techies doesn't mean they have to have access to the substantive information that they're tinkering with the machine on. And fourth, Booz Allen is this contractor. These people have absolutely no patriotism whatsoever. You know, one of the problems is nowadays, and this is a function of the left and the right. On the right, you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson who praise Putin, and they hate the United States. But frankly, on the left, you have a lot of people who kneel for the national anthem. You know, Stanford came out with some set of words that are okay on campus, and you can't use the word America. You have to use United States because America connotes the nation state. I'm tired of all this stuff. When I served in the Navy, we had people from all over the country and every income group. Some of them were very poor. Some of them, you know, came from the middle class. Who cares? We were all on the ship. We were shipmates. We worked together, stood watch together, went on liberty together. We were buddies. And I don't want people kneeling for the national anthem, and I don't want right-wing nuts like Tucker Carlson and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene praising Putin and attacking the United States. Simple as that. That is what I want. Going back to and so to answer your question, I think that there should be fewer top secret clearances. I think they should mean something. I do not think you should let contractors, you look at Snowden, and they worked with Chelsea Manning, that you let these guys off. I mean, people, they killed our agents in China and Russia, and Hansen got prison terms, and this other guy, Jack Ma, is still going to trial. Enough. They kill our guys, they get executed. It's as simple as that. And I mean, then you have what? You have contractors getting top secret clearances, and you expect them to vet their people? They have a profit motive. This is not right. It's absolutely not right what's going on. Bill of Oconomowoc, my friend. Thanks for calling. What's your mind today, Bill?
Good afternoon, Matt. Say the top clown in the Congress is up in New York trying to raise Cain. And that goofball refuses to answer subpoena. He can't afford a sport coat. And on top of that, his state, Ohio, is a lot worse in crime per capita than New York is, and yet he's going after Frank. What we need to do with the guy right away, start running a tab. I don't want to pick up his tab. I don't think you want to pick up his tab. And I don't think any of the people listening to this show want to pick up his tab. His tab's going to be in the millions because that's what he's wasting in taxpayer money running these scam investigations. He wasn't hired to investigate. He was hired to legislate. But he can't figure that out. He can't even figure out how to buy a sport coat. How can this clown is making a mockery of the intelligence of America? He is. We need to call his office every day. I'm going to be calling his office. I'm going to say, hey, this guy's got to go to work. He's not an investigator. He's not Dick Tracy. He's paid to legislate. He doesn't get it. And the neat thing about it is he's got enough rope just about to hang himself, but I want your thoughts on it. Matt, I'm going to hang up and have a good day.
Yeah, right. What this investigation is designed to try to beat up Alvin Bragg, who's shown a lot of guts by bringing those 34 criminal charges, felony charges. And I took a look at online today as to how it's going. And apparently what the Republicans did is seated in the audience watching it people who would get up and shout at Democrats. So for instance, Schiff gets up to say so, or makes his statement on the panel, and suddenly some clown jumps up out of the audience, a Republican clown, and goes, "You're scum, you're no good," and disrupts it. This is wrong. This is the federal government interfering with a state criminal prosecution. There's a very famous case going back to the 1970s out of California, Younger v. Harris, and there's a couple of other ones, says the federal courts are not permitted to interfere in a state criminal prosecution. The remedy is, if you think there's been an unjust result, what happens is it has to bubble up through the appellate process and go to the Supreme Court. Here you have these congressional clowns, and Gymnasium Jim GYM Jordan was accused at one time when he was an assistant wrestling coach of actually having viewed some impropriety and not reporting it. And this guy is what? This guy sat on the sofa in the White House with Trump during Christmas week, right after the 2020 election, to plan the Green Bay sweep, as it was called, to plan the overturning of the election. And he's what, lecturing to me about what, crime in New York? And it turns out crime in New York per capita is down, and in the Ohio area that he represents, it's up. This is a farce. However, because they have the Congress, at least the House of Representatives, McCarthy, they are funding it. You're funding it whether you want to or not, and it's all wrong. I couldn't agree with you more, Bill. Thanks for the call. Karina, Milwaukee, my friend. Thanks for calling. What's your mind today, Karina?
You know what? I tell you this. Obviously, and you're right. The generation are, I would say, degrading with the social media to understand what you do put out there and what you don't put out there. I can understand when you're working as a spy. This is your job. This is what you do. Yes, you know that you might get caught and killed, but you're going for it willingly. Now, you have a military man who is in the military for 4 years. Over 4 years, he didn't get or wasn't given or pronounced or stressed enough what is to be a military man and what it is a patriotism. Now, when we're talking about a blow out of proportion military budget, when we're talking about all these things, we are all of a sudden unpatriotic. But how is patriotic the whole country can be if even their military people, after 4 years being in military, don't understand that you're damaging your own country by doing it? Just because you want to show off your ability, show off what you do. He didn't do it even for a purpose of a journalism or showing, saying, look what we're doing, right? No, it was just a pure show off of his abilities and skills.
I agree with you, and I'm going to add something. The fact is, there is no consequence to a lot of these people. Chelsea Manning was pardoned by Obama. He should not have been pardoned by Obama. You have Snowden. Some people are saying, well, the president should pardon him. Trump said he was thinking of it. That's wrong. He should get prison for life. Julian Assange, the same thing. This fellow Ma in Hawaii, we had many of our agents in China were executed. They were executed. Hansen ratted on our people in Russia, and they were executed. These are people, there are two things here. One is you're making the point about people who are going to, or they're in the military. I couldn't agree more. One of the problems is we are recruiting Gen Zers who apparently have a very, very thin idea of what their obligations are as patriots in this country when they do go in the military. And apparently we want techies so bad, we drag them in, put a uniform on them, and they go into chat rooms like Thug Shaker Central and just want to show off to each other. And anything posted anywhere is forever. Anywhere is forever. Anywhere is forever. So I think you don't give access to people like this. You don't give access. You search people on the way out. And here, this stuff was even floating around. We didn't know about it for months. Thanks a lot for calling, Karina. Mark from the SAC, my friend. Thanks for calling. What's in your mind today, Mark?
Yeah, well, anytime any Democrat is addressing Jim Jordan, they could just call him gymnasium, just to see if they can get under the guy's skin. And that's the whole problem with these guys like Jordan and the whole rest of the treacherous, treasonous lot they're involved in, even tangentially with the Green Bay sweep. Every single one of them here in Wisconsin should be, and Josh Cull should go after their asses. I mean, and because if it was on the other, if the shoe was on the other foot, Republicans would show no hesitation at all of blowing the full full force of the law down upon their heads. I mean, these guys need to realize that there's consequences for their actions. Their actions were a betrayal of their oath of office, pure and simple. A pure and simple betrayal of the office to the state constitution, the U.S. Constitution. These guys are nothing that they're violators of the 14th Amendment. Period. I mean, it is just disgusting that they have not gone up. What is the point of waiting this whole wait and see attitude? Because Republicans just feel emboldened right now to do all this stuff. I mean, if they felt stuff was coming down upon their lousy heads, they might pull back a little bit. But they're talking about impeaching, a judge that hasn't even been sworn into office yet.
Right.
I mean, we should not.
You're making a good point, Mark. Let me just jump in here for a second. Among those documents that came out, among the documents that were leaked, it showed that China had approved a provision of lethal aid to Russia earlier the year. When this came out, they got so frightened, that the Chinese, that they pulled back a little bit, but their word can't be trusted. And they may go ahead and give lethal aid, i.e. weapons, to Russia. We picked up an intercepted message in Ukraine from Russian soldiers. We monitor the phone calls of Russian soldiers back to their wives and their relatives in Russia. And one of the Ruskies said to his wife that he'd been ordered to kill women and children, any civilian on sight, just shoot them no matter how young they were, using the F word quite a bit, saying, I have to kill every effing woman and effing child, and this is just too weird. And his wife said, well, what can you do? This is what the Ruskies, the commie Ruskies, are doing in Ukraine. Now, should this stuff all come out? We know it. We know it in our intelligence services. And the answer is no, it shouldn't all come out. It should be revealed as necessary in our interest. But we can't have millions of people with top secret clearances. We have a president who steals stuff. And then we have Booz Allen. We have contractors. Why not indict Booz Allen? These are their employees that did it. Going to a break. The lines are open. 844-967-2789. A lot more back after the break.
Blood will be born in the birth of a nation. Blood is the rose of mysterious union. Dead blood in the streets, it's up to my ankle.